students. This video is for class 8, chapter 6, metals and non-metals. This is the second part of the video. In this we'll study about non-metals. In the previous one we have read about the physical properties of metals. Now we'll study about the non-metals. As I told you that there are 24 non-metals present, and out of these 24, 12 are solids. Okay, 12 are solids. Now they can be carbon, it can be phosphorus, sulfur, iodine. All these are examples of non-metals. Carbon is C, P is phosphorus, S is sulfur, I is iodine, right? All these are solids. Then there is one liquid non-metal. You should know and remember it, that one liquid non-metal is bromine. Bromine is the only liquid non-metal, right? Then after that 11 of them are gases. 11 non-metals are gases. Example of gases is hydrogen, okay, oxygen, nitrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, helium is He, neon is Ne. All the gases are non-metals. Some of them are solids. 12 solids are there, carbon, phosphorus, sulfur, iodine, and many others are there. Only one liquid non-metal is bromine, right? Now we study about the properties, the physical properties of non-metals. Physical properties means how they appear, the appearance of non-metals, okay, or if we don't do the reaction, how do we decide that they are non-metals? Chemical properties are decided by reacting the substance with any other element, right? But physical properties are that how do they look, what is their boiling point, what is their melting point, how are they in appearance, are they hard, are they soft, okay? So these are physical properties. Now physical property, as we studied in metals, here the properties are just reverse of the metals. For example, we studied in metals that they are lustrous, that is they are having a shiny appearance, but these are dull in appearance. Non-metals are, number one, they are dull in appearance. Dull in appearance means they do not shine, okay? And as we have exceptions, all of you should know that what are the exceptions. Exception here is graphite. Graphite is an exception. Graphite and iodine. Iodine is also a shiny non-metal. Graphite also is a shiny non-metal. Both of these are exceptions because rest of the non-metals are dull in appearance, they don't shine. Graphite is a form of carbon. Graphite is a form of carbon, and iodine is a solid non-metal which is having shine in it, okay? Then second, we studied that metals are sonorous, that is they produce a ringing sound, but non-metals, they don't produce any ringing sound, so we can say that they are non-sonorous. They are non-sonorous, right? Then next is, we studied that they have metals have high tensile strength, and here non-metals, they are brittle. They are not strong, they are brittle. If you hit them, then they will break, okay? So they are brittle. If they are solid, they are brittle, otherwise they are liquid and gases, right? So non-metals are brittle. If they are solid, they are brittle, and if they are liquid or if they are gases, then that's a different matter. So this is, they are brittle. Then they are bad conductors of heat and electricity both, okay? So they are bad conductors of heat and bad conductors of electricity. Bad conductors of heat and bad conductors of electricity. Again, you should know that what are the exceptions to this. All the non-metals are bad conductors of electricity except graphite. Graphite is a form of carbon, and you must have seen a carbon rod in the cell, in the batteries which we use. If you have ever broken a cell, you must have seen a black colored rod into it. So that black colored rod is a graphite rod, or you can say that is a carbon rod inside the cell. Okay. If you have any unused cell at your homes, you can break it and see the carbon rod in it. So that is a graphite rod. Graphite is a good conductor of electricity. All the non-metals are bad conductors of electricity, but graphite is an exception, and that is why those carbon rods are used in the cell or the battery which we use. Okay, then so we are studying about the physical properties of non-metals. They are non-sonorous. We have studied about it, that they are non-sonorous. One is that they are dull in appearance, they are brittle, they are bad conductors of heat, they are bad conductors of electricity. Now there is one activity given in your book, that the activity is, what we have to do is, suppose we take a pencil here, we have to prove that graphite is a good conductor of electricity, because non-metals are bad conductors of electricity and we want to prove that graphite is a good conductor of electricity. So what do we do here is that we have taken a pencil here and we sharpen the pencil from both the ends. Both the ends are sharpened, and then we connect it with a circuit. I hope everybody knows that how do we make a circuit. This is a copper wire, and with the copper wire we connect it with a battery. This longer line shows a positive terminal of the battery and the smaller line shows the negative terminal of the battery, and all of you know that battery is a combination of cells. Okay, so this is a battery, this is positive terminal, negative, positive, negative. Now this is joined to a bulb here. We have attached a bulb with the help of copper wires, and then it is connected to the other end of the pencil. This is the sharpened end of the pencil, and the lead of the pencil is made up of graphite. Okay, the lead of the pencil is made up of graphite plus clay, right? And graphite is a good conductor of electricity. Now how do we prove this? We have connected this pencil with the help of a battery, and we have connected this to a bulb. Now when we do the connections here, when we join the circuit, when the circuit is closed or when it is complete, you will see that the bulb starts glowing. Okay, so if the bulb glows, it means that graphite or the pencil lead is a good conductor of electricity. This is a test for finding out whether the metal or a non-metal is a good conductor or not. How do we do is, like instead of pencil, if I keep here a block of wood, if I connect a block of wood here, so will the bulb glow? No. Why? Because this is a bad conductor of electricity. Okay, if I attach here a safety pin, okay, instead of this pencil, if I attach a safety pin over here, the bulb is going to glow. Why? Because safety pin is again made up of a metal, and all the metals are good conductor of electricity. If you attach here, if you connect here a metallic scale, then also the bulb will glow, because metals are good conductors of electricity. And if I take a plastic scale and join this circuit, the bulb will not glow, because it is a bad conductor of electricity. So if we want to find out whether any element is a bad conductor or a good conductor, then we can connect it with a circuit. If the bulb glows, it is a good conductor, and if the bulb does not glow, it means it is a bad conductor of electricity. So all these are physical properties of non-metals. Now we come to the chemical properties of metals. Chemical properties of metals means when they react with other elements, like maybe with oxygen, maybe with water, or maybe with acid, then how do they react? That is known as chemical properties. What is formed as a product? Okay, what is a reaction? Those are the chemical properties. Now first we look at the chemical properties of metals. Now here I have written a series. There is a series written here. This is known as activity series. Okay, this is known as activity series. This is known as activity series. Activity series is that when the metals are arranged in decreasing order of their reactivity. This is the decreasing order of their reactivity. That is, Potassium, K is for potassium. Potassium is more reactive than calcium. Calcium is more reactive than sodium. Na is for sodium. Sodium is more reactive than magnesium. Magnesium is more reactive than aluminium. Aluminium is more reactive than zinc. Zinc is more reactive than iron. Fe is iron. And here one non-metal is also included, which is hydrogen. Okay, hydrogen has some properties similar to that of metals. That's why it is included in the activity series of metals. Then after hydrogen is copper. Copper is less reactive than even hydrogen. Then mercury is Hg. It is less reactive than copper. Then silver, Ag is silver. Silver is less reactive than mercury. And gold is the last one, which is less reactive even than silver. So this is the activity series of metals, which is arranged, metals are arranged in a decreasing order of their reactivity. Okay, now we come to the chemical properties of metals. Depending on this, we will study about the chemical properties of metals. Naturally, this as we see that potassium and calcium and sodium, they are highly reactive metals. Especially potassium and sodium, they are very reactive metals. They are highly reactive metals. Okay, and then comes your magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, etc. So as we go down, the reactivity is decreasing. So if we do the reaction with any of the other element, we will see that the reactions are vigorous. They are fast when we take the metals like potassium, calcium or sodium, and then the speed of the reactions decrease. Okay, now let us first study the action of air on metals. This is the first chemical property, which is action of air on metals. Now we have I have written here the activity series of metals. Now as I said that potassium and sodium, they are highly reactive metals. So what will happen, they catch fire as soon as they can catch fire. They are very reactive metals. That's why they catch fire if they are taken out in open air. Okay, if they react with air, they can catch fire. That is why they are always stored in kerosene. They are always stored in kerosene, because even they react with water. In water also, we'll study about it, that in water also they can turn into flames. So they are stored in kerosene because they are highly reactive metals, right? And they can catch fire. Okay, then comes your after potassium and sodium comes magnesium. Now magnesium, aluminium and iron, they keep on reacting slowly with air and their oxides are formed. Like if I want to write a general equation, I'll write that metals, they combine with air or oxygen, okay, and they form metal oxide. They form metal oxide. Magnesium, aluminium and iron, they react slowly with air and they form their oxides, and on being heated they react fast. Means if I have to burn magnesium, then I can heat it. Okay, so the reaction will become fast. There is one activity given in your book, that what you do is you take an open jar, okay, and hold a magnesium ribbon. See, you should know that why it is known as magnesium ribbon, because it is a very thin piece of magnesium. We hold it with a pair of tongs. Pair of tongs means it is a holder, okay, with which we can hold this magnesium ribbon. And what do is we heat it, okay, in an open jar. So when we heat this magnesium ribbon, you will see a dazzling flame, a dazzling light. You will observe a dazzling light, a dazzling flame. Magnesium burns with a dazzling light, and later on you will see the white powder on this open jar. Okay, you will see the white powder on this open jar. The reaction here is magnesium reacts with oxygen and forms MgO, magnesium oxide. Okay, when we ignite this, when we do the ignition means when we burn magnesium in presence of oxygen, it reacts with oxygen and forms magnesium oxide, which is a white powder. Okay, if I balance this equation, this is 2 Mg plus O2 gives you 2 MgO, right? So when we burn magnesium, then a solid particles, the white solid particles of MgO, magnesium oxide, are formed on the inner surface of the jar. You will see on the inner surface of the jar this white powder getting collected. Okay, so this is about magnesium. Then comes your iron. Iron also keeps on reacting with oxygen. You know very well that iron reacts with oxygen and it also reacts with water, right? This is, we are not reacting it if we keep any iron article outside, okay, in the outer atmosphere, then we'll see that it keeps on reacting with the oxygen present in the air, and it reacts with any number of molecules of water with the moisture, and it forms Fe2O3 dot XH2O, okay, which is known as rust. I hope everybody knows what is rust. Rust is when iron reacts with oxygen and moisture present in the air, it forms a reddish brown, it becomes reddish brown in color, it gets rusted, okay. You must have seen jung, everybody knows what is jung or rust, okay. Iron articles get rusted after some time because of the reaction of iron with oxygen and with X molecules of water. Why we have written X here is because X can be 10, X can be 100, it can be any number of molecules, that's why XH2O, and this is the formula of rust. This is known as ferric oxide, Fe2O3 dot XH2O. This is rust, which is of reddish brown color. The iron becomes reddish brown in color, okay. Then when copper also is copper also reacts very slowly. So if we have to burn copper, if we want to see the reaction of copper, then what we do is we react it with oxygen and we strongly heat this copper. It becomes brown in color due to the formation of copper oxide. Sorry, it becomes black in color. It becomes black in color. It is, copper oxide is black in color. So copper, when it is heated for a long time, when we strongly heat copper in presence of oxygen, it forms copper oxide, which is black in color. Then silver and gold. Then comes silver and gold, which do not react with oxygen. They don't react with air. Silver and gold don't react with air. That's why we use them in making of jewelry, because they don't react with air, they don't react with water, they don't react with acids, okay. So silver and gold are least reactive metals, okay.